about to leave. Already packing, come with me.
Hello, my name is Pig. I am the sound engineer for Home Studio Adventures for Dummies. Today's episode is episode 6, the interface, which is that little toy that I play with where I plug in all my instruments and microphones and input them into my computer, which is under my desk here. If at the end of the video you like it, press like down there somewhere, and also support us by pressing subscribe. And I'll leave you with the old guy now, and see you later.
Hello, welcome to episode 6 of the series for Home Studio Adventures for Dummies. The title of this episode is going to be The Interface. So, we're going to be talking about that piece of equipment that communicates from your sound input devices with your computer. Uh, Personally, I have a Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. It has 8 inputs that could either be line, like keyboards and guitars, etc., or microphone. We have to stop right there and explain the difference, but let me show you another interface that I own. This is an M Audio. It's an old interface. It's got 2 inputs that can either be one here and one here. 2 inputs that can be either line with a TRS plug or microphone, which uses an XLR plug. The M Audio doesn't work with Windows 10. I don't know why they stopped issuing drivers after Windows XP. I tried to use it many times. I kept it as a backup when I purchased the Focusrite, but never was able to use it. But now my daughter is going to college, and she purchased another Mac. I use PCs, but she likes Mac better. So she bought another Mac, and she's gonna let me have her old Mac, which I'm planning to use with my MIDI keyboard controller as an interface with that keyboard controller and the Mac laptop. It appears that the M Audio works very well with the Mac. So we'll see. Uh, Going back to line and microphone, uh, the sometimes okay, the interface has a line input gain uh, set setup button, but sometimes the line instruments like the guitar and the keyboards, the sound is very potent for the interface and for the recording. So it has a button called pad, which you use to reduce a little bit of that power coming from the line instruments. Uh, in the opposite side, the microphones, uh, especially the condenser microphones, have a low decibel output, I mean. So they tend to come in low into the interface. So this in the past, uh, studio engineers used to have mic amplifiers. I still got one somewhere. Uh, and they would connect the microphones to the amplifier and set up a gain strong enough to go into the recording device in the studio, which at that time sometimes they were tape recorders. And but the newer interfaces have a button in the back, right here, that when you press it, it gives phantom power to the microphone. So you don't have to use a phantom power uh, box before going into the interface. And that's the reason why you connect the XLRs to the input for the microphones and the TRS for the line instruments, because the TRS does not work with the phantom. So you won't damage your keyboards. Now, remember in the last episode we talked about live sound and we talked about mixers. In a way, because it has different setups for output volume, in a way, an interface is a mixer. But what is the difference? I have a Mackie mixer that also has a connection for USB, like the interface has. Uh, but in the mixer, let's say you have like a 16 input mixer, like I have, and you have 4 microphones, 2 electric guitars, 1 bass guitar, keyboards, all connected to the mixer. Uh, and then you say, oh, well, now I can use the mixer as an interface and save some money. So the Mackie, for example, has a USB connection that you bring into the laptop or PC or whatever device you have, and it lets you record whatever is going into the mixer, into the Mackie mixer, for example, or Behringer or whatever you have. Uh, but when you go from the mixer to the PC, you will get the same output that goes to the live speakers, which is a mix. That's why it's called a mixer. So you can do all the adjustments you want in the mixer. Better do them right, because when you go into the PC and you are going to record that mix in your DAW, I hope you know what that is. If not, we'll talk about it. Uh, when you're going to record that, you only get one input. All the instruments are going to be on just one track. Uh, Not the best idea if you're recording a band, for example. But if that is what you have, that's what you're going to use. Now, let's check the difference here. Once I plug this uh, interface to my computer, USB input in my computer, which in this case is a full-size PC, but it can be a laptop. Once you plug this in and it communicates with your DAW, which is your software dedicated to record sound. Most of them have plenty of tracks. You can record a whole symphonic orchestra on a DAW, like Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton. There's so many of them. I personally use Acid Pro because I've been using it for more than 15 years. I also have Pro Tools 11, but we'll talk about that another day. Uh, so once I plug this, let's say this one here, and I plug it into the PC or the Mac or whatever, the signals that come from here can go into the DAW in the form of two different tracks. So I can record the input of a microphone on this line input here, XLR input here, and record that into a single track. And then the singer is playing an acoustic guitar, which is coming here as a line instrument or through a microphone into an XLR input. And I can record that guitar in a separate track in the DAW. So that's the difference between an interface, basically, and a mixer. The interface also has input for other devices. You can probably plug in an iPhone here and plug in a track if you want to record it to your DAW. And also, it has outputs. Outputs that would go in this case to the monitors in your studio, so you can hear whatever the mix is going into the DAW. Okay. Also, let me turn it around. It has an output for the use of earphones. And that way you can monitor with earphones whatever is the signal going from this interface into the computer. In my case, with the Focusrite Scarlett 8920, Uh, I prefer to send the signal from the DAW to the monitors, uh, or to my computer iPhones, I mean earphones. And then if I want to hear the signal coming in, I just get another pair of earphones and plug it to the interface. Uh, Really, there's no difference except for the fact that in my personal case, and that's why I have an 18i20, I, and this is kind of being lazy, uh, but I have a three keyboard rig that I use for recordings, but I also love to play just for fun. Uh, Instead of having uh, a live PA system, I have good monitors, so I run the okay. The Focusrite has uh, 8 of this. So input 1 and 2, I dedicated to microphone. So any microphone that I'm gonna use for recording voice or whatever is gonna come to 1 or to number 2. In the case of the Focusrite, it has 6 of those inputs in the back. Okay, as you can see, this one has a MIDI input also in the back. But that Focusrite also have 6 of these inputs in the back. So let's say I have a Core Chrome workstation, a keyboard, and it has 2 line outputs for sound, left and right. So I go into position number 3 and 4 in the back. This is 1 and this is 2. So I go to 3 and 4 in the back and I plug in the keyboard on those 2. That way I can also have a gain adjustment on buttons that are in the front, like those that you see here. Uh, then I have the Yamaha PSR 770. It's an arranger, and I use it on inputs number 5 and 6 in the back. So there's 2 like this, so I go 5 and 6 with TRS line inputs. Again, the Focusrite has a dedicated gain input button, so I can adjust the signal coming in from the keyboard. Then I still got 2 left, number 7 and number 8 in the back, and there I have a Yamaha MODX also connected with TRS cables on a line input basis. The advantage of that, number one, I can set up each instrument individually, and I can also record all 3 keyboards into my DAW on separate tracks, which is a great advantage because later, if you want to correct something in the mix and the problem is in the Yamaha MODX sound, you can do it without disturbing the other two tracks. At the same time, I can also record voice from we have a soundproof booth. So we could also record voice here all at the same time. Let's say like a live concert. Or we could use all three keyboards, connect an electric guitar to this one, and then the microphone on this one. So there's all sorts of alternatives that you can use by having an interface, especially if you had one that has like the Scarlett, and I'm not promoting any equipment here. It's just what I have, and I don't get any promotion money out of any of these manufacturers. Uh, but the Scarlett provides me with all those different alternatives. Uh, on another video, we're going to talk about the DAW, so we will discuss the the interaction between the interface and the DAW. But for now, you know, all you can do with an interface in a separate video, we're also going to show you how to use an interface with a laptop and your MIDI controller, so you can produce VST sounds through the interface to external speakers. I think this is all for today. Sorry for the long time that we let go through without making any videos. But we will try to get back to normal. The other thing I wanted to say is that if you like this video, please press like. And if you like to continue supporting my channel, press subscribe. You don't have to, but there is a small bell right next to subscribe that if you press it will notify you when there is a new video out in YouTube. Thank you again for watching, and I also welcome our studio engineer, Mr. Pig. We had another avatar, the old man, but he disappeared one day and he never came back. So now Mr. Pig, who is also our sound engineer, is gonna give you the welcomes and the goodbyes. So see you later.
Well, I hope you liked the video about the interface, and I also hope that you come back for our next video. If you like it, please remember to go to down there and press like. And if you like to continue supporting our project, also press subscribe down here too. Got it? Thank you. See you next time.
wanna go out and face the cold, but it's a really good time for a monologue. Can't let this pass, I find it hard to breathe. Time is up, the bell has rang, and it is really hard to understand that losing you now is the only choice for me.